Is this season LeBron's biggest challenge?
I don't view it that way. I think that he's had incredible challenges throughout his career. I would still say to you that the greatest challenge of his career was when they beat Oklahoma City for the title that year, because it was fresh off of them losing in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks and the pressure that mounted on his shoulders. I'm telling you, as a person that covers the sport, it was nothing like it. I mean, we were all sitting there looking, and it was like, oh, you better get it done now. This is it right here. Legacy, everything. Even though he had a career, obviously, that was still, had more than a decade of, almost a decade of wheels left on it and all of this other stuff. The fact that they had assembled and the fact that he had said not one, not two, not three, not four, five, six, seven, and then they lost to the Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki, who they were favored to beat. And in the same breath, it was Dirk Nowitzki, but there were times in the fourth quarter where Jason Terry was guarding you, and you did not abuse that man, even though I love the Jet. You did not abuse that man. This LeBron James we're talking about. The heat that was on him, I'll never forget this, Key, JJ, following year, they down 3-2, and they got to go to Boston. Boston's got him up, got him down 3-2. Paul Pierce, KG, and the crew looking to close the deal, and we all descended on Boston. It was like, oh, this is it. This is it right here. You get bounced out from this. Ain't no coming back from this. And that brother dropped 45 and 15. When they show that photo of him looking like he a man possessed, for crying out loud, he was just in a different zone. It's because he knew at that moment in time, in my opinion, just covering sports, there comes a moment for a lot, not all, but for a lot of athletes where winning will propel you to new heights, losing will sink you. You just ain't coming back from it. And that's what it looked like for LeBron at that particular moment. And I've always viewed that as his toughest challenge, because to me, it was like if he didn't overcome that, I don't think he might have ever learned to become a champion.
Interesting.
See, for me, what I'm listening to him say right there is, it is his toughest challenge because of everything that Stephen A said. He got over. He won those championships.
Right.
So I'm through that now. Now I done went out there. I done asked for Anthony Davis to come. We won one. Last year we didn't even make it. We got bounced. But now I done went out and got Westbrook. I done brought the old band together in Dwight Howard. Now I'm bringing in Rondo. I got Ariza coming when he's back healthy. So I got all the old goods coming back. But I also recognize and I realize that we are not where we want to be. And it's going to be hard to get there. It's going to be challenging to get there. And everybody was doubting me based on last year coming into this season. Even though I assembled all these pieces and put things together,
that's the part
people
that's
are
hard
starting
for me.
to
There's so
doubt
many
him.
stars on that team to say this is the most challenging, and you've got AD and
but
Russ
you got
on your
it's
squad.
challenging, but it's challenging
like
because
the
you got to
tiny
put it
violin.
together. You got to put it together, and it's not together yet. That's what he's talking about.
JJ, where are you?
The greatest challenge of LeBron James' career was bringing a championship to Cleveland. He had 5 opportunities to do that. That 07 team was completely overmatched. They were a little bit early. They didn't have the talent. All right. You look at 2014, he plays the Warriors, or 2015 rather, he plays the Warriors. Kyrie hurts himself. 16, they're down 3-1. That's the greatest challenge. LeBron has said it himself. He said it himself. It's the best championship. He thinks it's the best championship in history. That's arguable. But to him, that is his greatest challenge. And if you look at all the teams that he brought to the finals with Cleveland, other than 15 and 16, those teams were overmatched. This team right now with the Lakers has 2 future Hall of Famers on the team. This is not the greatest challenge of his career.
But why would he say it?
He didn't say it. Don't put words in his mouth.
But I'm just reading what he said.
It's right up there with the greatest challenge.
Yeah,
but
it's right up there with.
He did. That's how you didn't take it that way.
No, I didn't take it that way.
So
Not at all.
don't mince his words through your rose-colored glasses.
No, I think what JJ is saying as well as Stephen A, it is a challenge for him. But when you look at it, they're not playing good basketball. What are they, 500 right now?
500,
yeah, 500.
They're not playing good basketball.
Seventh in the West.
When is that going to happen? That is a challenge. I don't care how great the players are that surround him. They're not playing good. They're not playing good, Stephen A.
We talked about this off air a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we said, what is their ceiling in the regular season? And you guys felt that it was maybe a 3 seed, maybe a 4 seed.
Yeah.
Well,
and I said they look like they're headed for the play-in game. Now, the way the Big Three have played the last 3 games, there's certainly an opportunity to move up in the standings.
Right.
But this is not a team that's going to be a top 3 seed in the West.
The Lakers and the Bucks family ain't spending whatever the payroll is right now to be the 7th seed or
That's
playing
right.
game.
They ain't
That's why it's a challenge.
But that's currently what it is.
But let me break this down. First of all, I would warn you to be careful about what you say about J.J. Redick because he got this podcast blowing up, and then he leaves and go talks about us. You understand what I'm saying?
Is that what you do,
we
man?
have to be careful. I got to show up and invade the podcast
Stephen
so
A.
I can correct him for the error.
sensitive?
You know what I'm saying? I'll get him later. I'm gonna get him later.
Stephen A.
I'm gonna get him later. I'm gonna get him later. It's no worry.
What did I say on the podcast? I said you were one of, if not the most talented person on TV. Period. It was very flattering. I appreciate the love, behind your
and
back.
I think you're one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. Ain't nothing but love here. But I remember I heard that interview with Mikal Bridges. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You're not getting away with that. But let me get back. Let me get back to my point. That's right. I got rabbit ears. Tell him. I watch everything.
He watches everything.
Here's the thing. You see, you got to be careful what you say about it because he's going to quote you now. But here's the deal. When you talk about LeBron James and that challenge, it's just a personal preference. I'm going to always hold that suspension of Draymond Green against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, only from not his fault, of course. I'm talking about the league giving him that stimulus package, knowing that he was a guy to get bounced out in 5 back at the Oracle.
But you got to be fair, though, Stephen A., because Kyrie got hurt.
No. This is not the finals.
This isn't.
No, I'm talking. This is.
You talking about the kick game?
When they suspended Draymond, and then Bogut and Iguodala got hurt. The game, Draymond show up at the Garden, albeit in the first half, and you ultimately came back in the second half and made a game of it. You tied it up, actually. The bottom line is you're seeing stuff from the Lakers that are simply inexcusable, and the Lakers franchise that I know. The Lakers franchise that we've all known, that's got 17 championships on its resume, they are not going to stand pat with these with 2 of those 3 players, and you playing like this. Frank Vogel, I'm telling y'all right now, Frank Vogel better get it together because knowing the Lakers the way that I do, it would not surprise me at all if Laker Nation raise up, you out there, KP, and they make too much noise, and they make a change based on what we're seeing. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Well, here it is, Stephen A. and Swagoo. Look, I believe that the Lakers need to lean on LeBron James even more. I think that's the problem with the Lakers. You know, like those old people used to tell us, well, Stephen A., you're old, so you're probably one of those ones that's telling us that the Lakers have too many Chiefs and not enough Indians. See, when you're trying to compete for a championship, everybody can't be a playmaker. Everybody can't have the ball in their hands to make plays or try to create their own shot. And when you watch the Lakers, they play too much my-turn basketball. When you have Malik Monk dribbling the ball up, trying to create his own shot, a guy that's supposed to be a spot-up shooter or a catch 1-2 dribble pull-up shooter, you have a problem. I love Carmelo Anthony. I think he has been phenomenal for the Lakers. But he has to be accountable because right now they're picking on him on the defensive end. I mean, teams are running pick and rolls to get Carmelo on the switch, and they are going to work on him. So when I look at the Lakers, this is why you don't take for granted a guy like Alex Caruso. This is why you don't take for granted a guy like Caldwell Pope. This is why you don't take for granted a guy like JaVale McGee, because guys that come in and be stars in a role, that's what help you win championships. That's what help you get to the finals. Look at the Phoenix Suns. They have they 2 guys that they go to, a third option in DeAndre Ayton. You have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and then they have a whole bunch of role players, young role players at that know their roles. Look, everyone cannot be a chief. They need more Indians. If I'm the Lakers, I rely even more on LeBron James when he gets back because he's their best decision maker. He's their best floor general.
That's why I go.
See, my issue with it is that this whole move and this whole offseason and bringing in Russ was supposed to create 2 fives that could go. And Perk, I hear what you're saying about LeBron, but the whole gist, the whole idea of bringing in Russell Westbrook, bringing in Carmelo Anthony was to be able to spell LeBron James. This is what we talked about before the season even started. When they get to a certain point during the season, they need to be clicking, and all of these moves were made in order for the playoff run. But when you're looking at this team right now, and Perk, I like what you're saying, nothing is defined. We all know Russell Westbrook can get a triple-double every night he play basketball.
Yeah.
But where is the team scheme to the Los Angeles Lakers without LeBron James? Because the plan was to be able to play at a very high level without LeBron having to expel minutes, put a lot of strain on his body. He dealt with injuries. All of these things, to me, is what's so confusing. To your point, Stephen A, with Vogel, the reason why I'm frustrated with what's happening in LA is what I said previously. You're supposed to figure this out, dude. This is what I heard. I heard Legs talk about it. I heard KP talk about it. I heard Big Perk talk about it. I heard you talk about it, Stephen A. Everybody's question was, how is this going to work? How is Russell Westbrook and LeBron James going to be on the floor at the same time and both of those guys be able to impact the game? Mm-hmm. Well, I've been listening to y'all the basketball aficionados. I thought and was under the impression, as a guy that loves the game and watch it a lot, that the Russell Westbrook coming to LA was supposed to take pressure off of LeBron James to make a deep playoff run. And now, go ahead.
I have an answer. We're going to go back to what KB said about LeBron. But LeBron is responsible for this. And KP knows this to be true about what's about to come out of my mouth. You could have kept Alex Caruso. You could have kept the pieces in place with the squad that you had because you and Anthony Davis weren't healthy last year, but you came back healthy this year. You and I both know, KP, that Russell Westbrook ain't there if LeBron don't want that to happen. LeBron want that to happen. Now Russell Westbrook pushed it. He wanted desperately to depart from Washington, just like he wanted out of Houston. He wanted out of Washington, and he wanted to come back home, and rightfully so. You go out in L.A., Russell Westbrook's doing big things on the business side, by the way. I mean, this roster. Mm-hmm. Russell Westbrook is not wearing a Los Angeles Laker uniform if LeBron James doesn't sign off on it. Anthony Davis isn't going along with it unless LeBron James signs off on it. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss wouldn't bring guys onto the squad that LeBron James doesn't want there. And so the bottom line is we might lament the fact that the minutes that he's playing, they relying on a dude in his 19th season at age 36, approaching age 37. And I think all of that is very fair because I'm not blaming LeBron James for anything. I'm just simply saying, KP, when you talk about culpability, when you talk about responsibility, he is clearly the leader of this franchise, as well as he should be. He deserves it, okay? But with that leadership comes the responsibility of taking the brunt of the blame when stuff ain't going right and we're seeing a bevy of players that are struggling just to do their job. You're going to look at the leader when it comes to something like that, and that's why I say LeBron James.
Well, you know what, Stephen A., I don't disagree with you, but let me say this before
Sure.
I even start, okay? Let me say this. You know, down there in Texas, in the country, you know, you have an option to roll your trash can to the street and the trash people come pick it up. Or some people in the country, they burn their trash and it stinks when they burn it. I mean, hot garbage. That's who the Lakers are right now. And look, I'm tired of coming on television, whether it's First Take, whether it's NBA Today, and I'm tired of talking about the Lakers. You know why? Because they don't deserve to be talked about. Because they are not good right now. They haven't earned the right to be talked about. I don't care if they lose or win or whatever the case may be. They are trash. And there's other teams right now like the Sacramento Kings, who I would rather talk about than the Los Angeles Lakers, who has been playing phenomenal basketball since firing Luke Walton. I might even want to talk about the Houston Rockets, who are on a 7-game winning streak right now. But when I look at the Lakers, since I got to answer the question, who's the most to blame, I'm going to say Anthony Davis. And I'm not going to say Anthony Davis because of what Charles Barkley said the other night. I heard his comments. I'm going to say it because he has to man the hell up and demand the basketball, okay? And here's why. Anthony Davis right now is averaging a quiet 24 points and almost 11 rebounds. And the Lakers are at their best when they run their offense through Anthony Davis on the low block. Like the game last night. Look, you want him to play the center position. He can't handle big Steven Adams on the defensive end. He's just too strong. But offensively, I've been part of on the same team with Steven Adams when AD has given Steven Adams that work on multiple occasions. So it comes to the point where LeBron James and Russell Westbrook have to defer to Anthony Davis. It reminds me a lot of 2008 when I was on that team when we won the ring, when years passed, when we got into 2009 and 2010, you know what the big three said? You know what? Let me defer to Rajon Rondo. He's the young stud. Let the offense run through him. If the Lakers have plans on going anywhere or even have us be worthy of talking about them, they need to get the ball to AD more.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. They need to run it to him, but he does need to be a bit more assertive and aggressive because just getting, you know how it is, KP. If you on the court and it's somebody that's going along to get along, he knows what he can do, but he doesn't mind being passive or, dare I say, deferential because he has other stars on the court. Then you got to implore him to want it, to demand it. We're looking at the Lakers here. I'm looking at this schedule, KP. The losses that they've had, the 13 losses, they're 13-13 and 500. And by the way, you brought up Sacramento. It's not an accident. Luke Walton is gone. Alvin Gentry's the coach. They're 5-3 with him as a head coach in Sacramento. Ladies and gentlemen, Alvin Gentry, I think he's already proven this. We're happy for Willie Green, but Alvin Gentry should have never been let go in New Orleans. Alvin Gentry knows how to coach. Alvin Gentry knows how to coach. Alvin Gentry is a head coach in the National Basketball Association who should have never lost his damn job, to be quite honest with you, a couple of times in his career. So I'm very happy to see him head coaching the Sacramento Kings right now. And it's not an accident to me that they're playing better basketball because when they play like hot garbage, as you would bring up, KP, he called them on it. And this was his second game on the job. And he called them on it. Said we look like hot garbage, look like trash. We got to get it together. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers, you're absolutely right. We keep talking about them. They've got 2 losses to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've got a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who've improved. We know that. But they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves by 24. We got a loss to, obviously, they lost to the Knicks, okay? They lost to the Sacramento Kings. They lost to the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. They lost to the Portland Trail Blazers, all right? I'm just looking at them right now, and I'm saying, look, man, it's 26 games in, almost a third of the, listen, almost half the season is arriving shortly. The bottom line is LeBron James is the leader. And what you need is somebody not that tries to hold people accountable, somebody that's fully capable of holding people accountable. And I don't want to hear stuff about Russell Westbrook. I got to tell y'all something. He shoots 32% from three-point range. That's not great, but that's an improvement because he was in the low 20s for the last couple of years. It's Anthony Davis shooting 19% from three-point range. Russell Westbrook,